China Current is a weekly news talk show from China to the world. We cover viral news about China every week and also give you the newest updates on China's cutting-edge technologies. Let's get started.
Welcome to China Currents, your weekly news report on what's happening in China. I'm Lisa. In this episode, China has issued a new sanction list on US armed companies, and the USAF will be significantly affected. China conducts a new round of exercise in the Taiwan Strait. China issued $320 billion in bonds to improve people's livelihoods. First, let's see how the USAF will be affected by China's sanctions. On the 10th of October, China announced a new sanction list targeting 8 US arms companies and 10 of their executives. These individuals will no longer be able to obtain any Chinese visas, including entry to Hong Kong and Macau. Their assets in China have been frozen and they are prohibited from engaging in any transaction or collaborations with companies or individuals in China. Why might it be a big problem for the US Air Force? Well, because David Sutton, Director of Asia Pacific at Lockheed Martin, is on the sanction list. For the US Air Force, Lockheed Martin's F-35 fighter jets are expected to be their primary stealth aircraft of the future. Over 1,000 have already been ordered, and eventually more than 3,000 will be supplied to the US and its allies. The F-35 was intended to be the next showcase product, following the F-22 to rival China's J-20 stealth fighter jets. However, internal reviews revealed that even the F-35's ability to fly was actually built on the covert use of Chinese-made parts. Now, with China's sanction, this practice can no longer be hidden. According to a 2022 report by Politico, the secret was uncovered by the Defense Contract Management Agency in August 2022. It discovered that Chinese-made parts were the magnets contained in the F-35's turbo machine pumps. Lockheed Martin spokesperson Laura Seibert said in an interview with the Warzone magazine that the turbo machine is part of the Integrated Power Package, the IPP, which is the primary component of the electric power and thermal management system. She explained that the IPP supplies electrical power to start the engine and provides conditioned bleed air for cooling aircraft systems. In other words, if this critical component fails, the F-35 could black out mid-flight and even fail to start. After the secret was revealed, the Pentagon's response was interesting. On the one hand, they seemingly couldn't accept that such a crucial component relied on Chinese manufacturing and immediately halted deliveries of the F-35. On the other hand, according to Politico, the Pentagon announced in October 2022 that the investigation had concluded and deliveries resumed, stating that the new batch of jets no longer contained Chinese-made parts. As for the aircraft already delivered with Chinese components, William LaPlante, the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment, signed a national security waiver, meaning the Defense Department would not replace the parts of those aircrafts. Now, by reviewing the F-35 crash archives in Air and Space Forces magazine, we can see that prior to October 2020, there were only 2 recorded incidents involving the F-35 in the US. However, since October 2020, there have been 7 additional incidents, with the failure rate tripling. The most recent F-35 crash occurred on May 28, 2024, at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico. According to ABC, the pilot was flying the jet on behalf of the Defense Contract Management Agency. A Lockheed Martin spokesperson said the jet was being transferred from Fort Worth, Texas, where the company's F-35 factory is located, to Edwards Air Force Base, California, for modifications and testing. The stop at Kirtland was made to refuel. The aircraft encountered issues shortly after takeoff, specifically with the vertical takeoff and landing system. Air and Space Force magazine reported that the accident bears a few similarities to the crash of an F-35B at Lockheed Martin's facility in Fort Worth, Texas in December 2022. According to Wikipedia, this was the first time an issue with the vertical takeoff and landing system has been reported for the F-35. Fortunately, the pilot survived thanks to the ejection seat that was made in the UK. Now, regardless of whether the US Air Force regrets its decision to phase out Chinese-made parts, this sanction list launched by China will help them complete this process. Lockheed Martin will no longer be able to access its fund in China or directly procure any parts from the country. Moving forward, we may observe further changes in the reliability of F-35s delivered after October 2020. Of course, China doesn't intend to rely solely on sanctions to defend the country. On the 14th of October, the PLA conducted a joint military drill, codenamed Joint Sword 2024B in the Taiwan Strait, with vessels and aircraft approaching Taiwan Island from different directions. The drill came after a speech from the leader of the Taiwan authorities, saying that Taiwan is not subordinate to China and that Beijing does not have the right to represent Taiwan. Spokesperson of the PLA Eastern Theater Command, Li Xi, noted that the joint drill focused on subjects like sea-air combat readiness patrol, blockade on key ports and areas, assault on maritime and ground targets, as well as joint seizures of comprehensive superiority. He emphasized that the drill also serves as a stern warning to the separatists of Taiwan Island. Meanwhile, the China Coast Guard organized a fleet vessel to conduct law enforcement patrols and maritime control operations around Taiwan, including the waters near Dongying Island and Mazu Island, as part of a patrol encircling the island. In this operation, the China Coast Guard deployed 6 formations, which is double the size of the comprehensive law enforcement drills conducted on May 23rd. Notably, among the vessels deployed was the 10,000-ton ship numbered 2901, the largest vessel currently in the China Coast Guard fleet. Interestingly, the tonnage of this vessel has surpassed that of the US Navy's Ticonderoga-class cruisers and the Allied-class destroyers. Yet, it's just a Coast Guard ship, not even a warship. In response to the mainland China's drill, the United States Department of State emphasized it remains committed to its long-standing One China policy in its official statement. In addition to the military, China has also taken steps to boost its economy. But on the 12th of October, China's Ministry of Finance announced that over the next 3 months, China will issue 2.3 trillion yuan in special bonds to alleviate local government's debt pressure and improve people's livelihood, which is roughly about $320 billion US. From January to September, China's public budget expenditure reached $280 billion, reflecting a 2% increase compared to the previous years. According to the official statistics from the Ministry of Finance, these funds were primarily allocated to several key areas. Social security and employment spending rose by 4.3%, education expenditure increased by 1.1%, and spending on agriculture, forestry, and water climbed by 6.4%. Additionally, urban and rural community expenditure experienced a growth of 6.1%, while housing security spending grew by 2.5%. Housing security could be one of the most popular topics for Western media to hype the China collapse. Just last month, the New York Times report titled with "Why It's So Hard for China to Fix Its Ailing Economy" claimed that the danger is that the government could have fewer fiscal resources to deploy to keep things from unraveling. However, on the 12th, Liao Ming, Vice Minister of Finance of China, said that in the past 3 years, the central government had allocated about $7 billion US to build 6.6 million indemnificatory apartments for Chinese citizens. In China, indemnificatory apartment refers to government-provided housing aimed at meeting the needs of low and middle-income families. Additionally, China has implemented a tax rebate policy encouraging people to trade their old homes for new ones. They've also reduced the interest rate on housing provident fund loans by 0.25 percentage points, which will save residents across the country a total of $2.8 billion US in interest payments each year. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of China Current. If you have any thoughts or comments about our show, please reach us at the email address below. We look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.